Hey guys, and welcome back to C# in Mallorca. My name is Matthew, and in the last video we went through LINQ and C#. Today we're going to be doing something a bit more practical and fun. We're going to take a look at integrating C# with WhatsApp, and to do this we're going to be using Twilio. Twilio is a cloud communication platform that provides services to engage with customers over a variety of different channels such as SMS, voice, video, and obviously WhatsApp as well. I'd like to mention up front that we're going to be doing this using the demo environment that you get when registering with Twilio, which doesn't cost anything. So you'll be able to follow this video in its entirety without paying for anything. If you want to take something to production though, you'll obviously need to consider costs at that point. But to test this out and for working on a proof of concept and just to get an idea of what you can do, you won't be paying anything. So in this video, we're going to be doing a few things. Firstly, we're going to register an account with Twilio. Then we're going to go through the method of connecting to a Sandbox environment in order to test the communications via the console that Twilio supplies us with, which is just the environment in which we can configure and test the communications for the channel that we're choosing to work with. After we've gone through that process and we're certain that everything is set up the way it should be, then we're going to set up Ngrok to get an external URL to our local web app. And then finally, we're going to dive into C# and create a web API project, which is going to handle the incoming and outgoing messages. It's important to mention that you've got two types of messages that you can send via the integration channels with WhatsApp. There's template messages and then there's session messages. In order to keep things regulated and spam free, there are very strict opt-in protocols that need to be followed. And there's also rules around the types of messages that you can send. Session messages require a person to initiate the conversation with your WhatsApp API number, and after the session message has been initiated, you can then chat with that person freely and you can send messages to them within 24 hours of their last message. After 24 hours, you won't be able to send another session message to them until they initiate another conversation. With template messages, you don't need to wait for them to initiate a conversation, but template messages have to be pre-approved before they can be sent out, and they have some rules surrounding them as well. They can be used for things like appointment reminders, verification codes, or auto notifications. This pre-approval process and the requirement to adhere to certain types of messages all helps to keep WhatsApp from becoming another full-blown spamming platform. Alright, so without any further delay, let's head on over to our working environment and get things going. And as always, if you find this video helpful, please give it a like. And if you want to see more, subscribe and turn on notifications so that you can be notified as soon as the next videos are available. So let's get started by registering an account with Twilio and then getting our Sandbox and test environment set up. So head on over to your favorite internet browser. I'll be using Chrome for this video. Okay, so to register an account, we need to go to twilio.com/try-twilio. Then we need to supply our first name, last name, email address, and then also a password that is at least 14 characters long. Then we just need to accept the terms of service and then click on start your free trial. You'll probably need to do something to verify that you are a human being at this point. So if you are a human being, just solve the puzzle and then you can proceed with the account creation. So we need to choose the spiral galaxy in this puzzle. And now we have verified that we are a human. Now you'll get an email sent to your mailbox which will contain a link for you to verify your account so that you can get started with your free trial. So once you receive this email, then you can just click on confirm your email. You'll then need to once again verify that you're a human being. They really want to make sure of this, and if you're a little frustrated with all this red tape, try to understand that they really want to keep the WhatsApp platform as regulated as possible so that it doesn't become another spamming platform. So they go through quite a bit of effort to ensure that it is used in a fair manner. So just punch in your phone number and then you'll receive a verification code on your phone, and then you can punch that in and then click on submit. Now we can just specify that we are interested in using WhatsApp. And then we just need to specify what do we plan on building with Twilio. So we're just going to specify other for now. And then it says we just need to specify how we want to build with Twilio. And we're going to choose with code. And then our preferred language, we're going to choose C#. And then we're going to choose that we will use our own hosting service. We'll be doing this directly from Visual Studio for this example. So don't worry about having to host anything for the purposes of what we're doing. We're going to do this directly from Visual Studio. And then we can click on Get Started with Twilio. Now, we're finally taken to the console and we're ready to get things going now. You'll see that you have $15.50 in your trial balance, which is more than enough to play around with the messaging integration. Okay, so let's go through getting our phone number connected to the Sandbox and then doing some test messages using the console before jumping over to Visual Studio to write some code to handle the communications. So click on the ellipsis down here and then choose Programmable Messaging. On the next page, click on Try It Out. And then click on Try WhatsApp. At this point, you'll be prompted to activate your Sandbox. So just click on I agree, show me my Sandbox, and then click on Confirm. Twilio will configure your Sandbox and then you'll see this page. At this point, we're ready to connect to the Sandbox with our own WhatsApp number. You'll see on this page a message that says to begin testing, connect to your Sandbox by sending a WhatsApp message from your device to a specific number with the code, and it'll give you a specific code here as well. So you'll need to send that exact text that is in bold to the number specified, after which point you'll receive a reply from that number. So let's go over to the phone here and then we'll type in exactly what is there, join space her dash swim. You can see I've already added the number to WhatsApp and I'm sending the message directly to that number. Now you can see I get the message responding, the message response here, you're all set. And then you can see on the web page as well that it has confirmed that the message has been received. The next step that we'll go through is to send a one-way message from the console. So click on the button that says next, send a one-way message. And then on the next page, you can choose what type of one-way message you'd like to send. Let's choose an appointment reminders message. And then you'll see the to and the from on the page, and then you'll see the body, your appointment is coming up on such and such a date, and then click on make request, and you can see the message come through onto our phone as well at that point. That's great. Now let's try our two-way messaging. So click on next, two-way messaging at the bottom here, and then we need to send a message to the Sandbox. As you can see, the console is waiting for us to send a message. So let's go to the phone and then type in hi there and send that. And now we can see here in the console that the message has been received. We can then send a reply by clicking on send a reply, and then we can replace the body of the message with something like, hey Matt, what's up? And then if we click on make request, we can see the message come through onto the phone as well. Now let's click on next, configure your Sandbox at the bottom here. You'll see there's a URL for when a message comes in here. And this is where the request gets sent to when a message comes in from WhatsApp. We're going to be creating a C# web API project which is going to receive these requests, which we're going to manage and respond to accordingly. However, we need a way of getting those messages sent to our locally exposed service that is going to be running in Visual Studio on our machine. In order to do this, we're going to use the Ngrok extension in Visual Studio. Ngrok allows us to securely expose our development environment to the public, which just means that we can create a temporary public URL that we will then put into Twilio that will actually be pointed directly to our web application in Visual Studio. Without this, we need to deploy the app somewhere that can be accessed publicly. We want to actually run the code in debug mode and see everything happen directly from Visual Studio for this video. So let's go on over to Visual Studio, and then we just need to go to extensions, manage extensions, and then we are just going to search for Ngrok extensions. Make sure you choose this one that was developed by David Prothero, and then click on download once we found the extension. Then let's just close Visual Studio so that the installation can take place. Then on the VSX installer here, we just click on modify to allow the change that we've requested, and it'll install the extension into Visual Studio 2019 for us. This does take a little while, so I'm going to pause the video and resume it once the installation of the extension is complete. Okay, so the installation has been complete, and we can click on close here. Now, we also just need to make sure that we have the Ngrok exe available on our PC. To do this, go into Google Chrome and then just search for Ngrok download. You should see the first result from the official ngrok.com website. Click on that link, then click on download for Windows. Now let's go into the folder that this was downloaded into and extract the file here. Now let's copy the path that the file resides in. On my PC, it's in the C downloads folder. So now we just need to go into Visual Studio again, and then we're going to choose to continue without code for now. Now go into Tools and Options and scroll down to Ngrok Options, and then in the executable path, we're going to paste the location of our exe, and we need to give the full file name, so we're going to type in /ngrok.exe. Now click on OK. Now let's go over how to use this extension really quickly. The Ngrok extension sees any web projects that we have open in Visual Studio and creates a publicly accessible URL for them whenever we choose to run Ngrok. For this video, we'll be working with an ASP.NET web application in .NET Framework in C#. So let's click on File, New Project, and then search for that template. So ASP.NET Web Application, .NET Framework, C#. Then click on Next. We'll call the project WhatsApp. Then click on Create. Now we've got here selected Web API, so just uncheck Configure for HTTPS. This is so that we can use the free version of Ngrok during debugging. Then leave the other options as they are for now, and then click on Create. Now that we have our project created and opened within Visual Studio, let's click on Tools and Start Ngrok Tunnel. Now you should see a console window pop up with something like this on it. So this forwarding address here, this is what we need to use when we configure the when a message comes in setting over here in our Twilio console. We're not going to do that just yet because we need to add the controller name onto the URL, which we haven't created yet. Just take note that every time you start the Ngrok tunnel, it creates a new URL for you. So if you're going to be stopping and starting the Ngrok tunnel, you'll need to update the Twilio Sandbox accordingly each time in order for your application to work properly. If you don't see this console window when you start the Ngrok tunnel, then just make sure that you have specified that executable path setting in the Ngrok section of the Tools Options window correctly. Now we're going to install the Twilio Nuget package into our Web API project. So let's go back to Visual Studio. Let's right click on the project in Visual Studio and choose Manage Nuget Packages, then go to Browse, and then let's search for twilio.aspnet.mvc. Now let's click on the package and then click on Install, and then let's just agree to the dependencies and click on OK to continue with the install. Okay, great, so that's done. Now let's create a WhatsApp controller for our project by right clicking on controllers and choosing Add Controller from the context menu. Then let's choose Web API and Web API to controller empty. Then click on OK. Now let's choose the name WhatsApp for our controller and then click on add. Now instead of deriving from API controller, we're going to derive from Twilio controller instead. Now we need to get the namespace included for this, so we can just hit Alt and Enter on our keyboard and we can choose using Twilio ASP.NET MVC, which will add the using statement for us up there. Now the first message we're going to send is going to be the response message to the message that comes in from someone initiating a conversation with the number that we've set up. We need an index method in our controller, and then we need to generate the response and send it back. So let's type in public twiml result index SMS request incoming message, and remember to pay attention to the case of the types here because they are very case sensitive. Alright, so we just need another using statement for SMS request here, so we just put the cursor there, hit Alt Enter, and then choose the using statement from the pop-up. Okay, now for the body of the message, we're just going to type in var messaging response equals new messaging response, and then we'll just do Alt Enter again to get the using statement for that. And then we type in messaging response dot message, and then we're gonna say something like, hey there, this is our first WhatsApp response to, and then we can put in the incoming message body there just to show that we did get this from that message. Then we can type in return twiml messaging response. Okay, so let's run this project now, and now that we know the name of our controller, we can copy this forwarding address from Ngrok here, and we can go over to the Twilio console, and we can replace this when a message comes in URL here with our URL that we got from Ngrok, and then we just need to append /WhatsApp to the end of that, and then we click on save. Okay, now let's head over to our phone and then type in something like, hey there, Matt's WhatsApp bot, and see what we get. Okay, so we get, hey there, this is our first WhatsApp response to, hey there, Matt's WhatsApp bot. Okay, this is how we can send a default reply, or if we like, we can apply whatever logic we want to here before sending this reply. However, this is only for replying. So what happens if we say to the person, just hang on, we're going to find someone to look into your order, or we'll get back to you shortly with some more information. To replicate that scenario, let's put in a task here that will run in a separate thread and just pause execution for a while, and then after 5 seconds we can manually send a new message just to illustrate how to send a message that isn't just an automatic reply. This is something that you'd most likely have in another project or area of your solution to handle this processing, but I don't want to create too many projects in this video. I just want to give you an idea of what you can do and a few code samples to do it in. So in order to do this, we're going to need our account SID and auth token from the Twilio dashboard. So let's head on over here and go to the dashboard, and then we can see our account SID and auth token if we click on show. Okay, so now let's go over to Visual Studio and create the method that our task is going to call by typing in public void send WhatsApp message string to string from. Then we type in thread dot sleep 5000 to get the thread to sleep for 5 seconds. Then we hit Alt Enter, and using system.threading. Now let's type in twilio.twilio client.init, open close quotes, open close quotes. Now in here we need to put the account SID and the auth token. So let's go grab those from the dashboard here. We'll take the account SID and place it in here, and then let's just go and grab the token as well and paste that in here. Then on the next line, we're going to type in message resource dot create. And then let's just hit Alt Enter to get the namespace for that. Now in here, we're going to set 3 parameters. So the first is going to be the body, which will just be something like, hey there, what's happening? This is a new WhatsApp message to you. And then the next parameter will be the from parameter, which we'll set to a phone number type. So we're just going to say new Twilio.types.phone number from, then the to parameter will set to new Twilio.types.phone number and then to. Now let's create the task in our index method and start it just before we return the reply by typing in over here var task equals new task, and then we can just Alt Enter to get the namespace imported there. And then we're going to use an anonymous method, goes to send WhatsApp message, incoming message from incoming message to, and then on the next line we'll just go task.start. We just forgot a close parenthesis here, so let's run our application again, and then let's send a message to the Sandbox saying hello again. Then we can see our initial first response, and then after a few seconds we should get the new message sent, and that's great. So I just want to go over one more thing with you. Let's put in a breakpoint here and go over some of the properties that you can see on the incoming message type there. So let's just type in hello again on the phone once more, and then you'll see it hits the breakpoint here. And then if you hover over here, you can see your account SID, which should match, and then there's your body, your from, and a few other properties on this type that you might find useful. And it's also just to illustrate how you can step over and step through all of the code that you've got in your project here. Okay guys, so we've gone over quite a bit here, and hopefully you've made it to the end of the video successfully. This is just meant to give you an idea of some of the things that you can do with Twilio, and just to get some sort of end-to-end test done of how you could go about using Twilio to integrate C# with WhatsApp. There's still way more that you can do with Twilio, like sending and receiving media, doing voice calls, and much more. If you'd like me to do some more videos on the additional functionality, just let me know in the comments and I'll bring out some more content elaborating on the different things that you can do. Otherwise, Twilio does have a really great website with loads of examples and walkthroughs, so you can also just go on over to their website and navigate through the extensive documentation that they provide. As I mentioned, this was just a quick run through so that you can get something working to just get a feel for whether or not you want to dive into it a little bit deeper. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and please, if you did, give it a like, and if you want to see more, subscribe and turn on notifications so that you can know as soon as the next videos are available. Take care, see you next time.